just gotta run, and ain't nobody gonna hold you. And everybody needs someone. Don't try to go alone. Don't say I never told you. When you wake up tomorrow and your heart ain't feeling right, I love to steal up all of them, say goodbye to pain and sorrow every day and every night. I once heard somebody say, this is living don't come easy, and you never find your way. And if you try to walk alone, you already lost believing. And if the word rings true, and there's darkness before light, find somebody and get together, make love last forever, every day and every night. When the whole damn world is beating you down, what about when you get burned from the tricks you never learned, and now you're dead on the ground? The story's sad, but it's true, and it can get the best of anyone. Loneliness won't get you through. You're gonna need to find a friend, gonna need to find someone. And if you wake up tomorrow and your heart ain't feeling right, find love to steal or borrow, say goodbye to pain and sorrow every day and every night. Every day and every night.
Hey guys, how's it going today? Can y'all hear me all right? Let me know if you can hear me. I see we've got a couple of people here. Who knows? And mi amore Cristo. Good morning. And whoever's watching that's not in chat, good morning and welcome. We're going to discuss SNAP. So what's going on is that the government is shut down, and we're going to talk about, the things that people say about SNAP, about the people who cheat the system and get on SNAP. But for every one of those people who cheat, there are millions of other people who are honest and really need the food. And we're talking about food. And I was just seeing where supposedly, from what I just briefly saw, no other administration has ever shut down SNAP because there's some like mad money to cover it. And even though the government is shut down, they have money to cover food for people, right? And you can't just go to the food banks because the food banks are going to be overburdened. There already isn't enough food for people. People are scrambling to get food because the prices are so high. And if you work minimum wage jobs, you could have 2 or 3 jobs minimum wage and still hit the poverty Lon, let me find that. The highest income to qualify for SNAP, it varies by state and household size, but it's a certain percentage of the federal poverty level. And so for a 4-person household, the gross monthly income limit is often around $36,000 a year. $36,000 a year is not a lot of money for one person. So for 4 people to live on $36,000 a year and not need help, that's pretty hard. And it does vary by state, because like Arkansas is one of the poorest states, and our income level's not as high as others. Well, I had a lot of feedback in asking about doing this. I'm hoping some more people will come in. We're not going to just sit here and read off facts and everything. I want to hear what y'all think. I want to hear what people who depend on aid. And I'll just tell you, I mean, I was on food stamps for, I think it was 3 months. Hey, Crafting and True Crime. I was on food stamps because I had had at this point 2 major surgeries on my lower back. I was having sciatica. It's a pain. It's a big, what is it called? Anyway, it runs down your whole leg, and it's big and it hurts. When you have lower back issues, it gets the sciatica nerve, and it was infuriating for me. That's not even the right word. It was very difficult to go to work, and I had a desk job for the most part, not all 100%, but I worked at a desk, and I was in constant pain, and I couldn't work, and I had to go on disability, and my company disability didn't kick in until I had been off work for 3 months. You had it, who knows? It's big. It's a big surgery too. And so no income for 3 months and COBRA. So in order to get your insurance to not lapse, because if your insurance lapses, it's harder to get insurance. I had to pay this. It was like $700, and this was 15 years ago, about, give or take a few years. And I was living on, like, I didn't make a whole lot of money. I worked for a newspaper. You don't make a lot of money in the newspaper business, right? This was again years ago, but I had a mortgage to pay. I had a car payment. I had myself to feed and my pets, and the pets don't even count because that doesn't go into food stamps or anything. But I thought, I went and I qualified. And they take out things like assets. If you have a home, many states have an asset limit, but for about $4,500 for households with an elderly or disabled person. So I became disabled basically, and I was on my insurance. I mean, I turned in everything. I go in. I'm honest. I'm not going to do that. And then after 3 months, my disability at my job kicked in, but it wasn't anywhere near how much I'd been making, and so I still had all these bills. At that point, I think at some point in there, I had to go on, and I wasn't making enough money to pay all my bills, and I got like $200 a month for food. That it's not a lot. So I didn't qualify for like the biggest benefit or anything like that. It's bad because people, like, yesterday I posted, are y'all interested in this topic? And people were talking about how there's this thing about people eating lobster and steak on their food stamps, and that happens. We can't determine what you can have. Now, Arkansas did just pass a law or whatever that SNAP cannot provide soft drinks and chips and things like that. No, you have to buy like food that has to be prepared. Now I agree, that those things are bad for us, but you're talking about a lot of children out here. Okay, no matter what you think, it's the children, right? There's children out here that don't have a parent. Maybe their parents worked in 3 jobs. Maybe their parents out doing drugs somewhere. I don't know. they need food, and there's nobody to cook it for them. So they're not always going to get the best food. You can't determine, hey, Heather, you can't tell people what they can and can't buy. But they did that here. They cut out soft drinks and chips, I guess, like cookies and stuff. I don't know. I'm not on SNAP. It was many years ago, and I had it for 3 months, and I don't think there was any. I mean, you couldn't buy cigarettes or anything like that, but for the thing about it is, you have to be very poor to get SNAP benefits. And yes, people use them and they go and buy drugs with them, and that's what you hear. You hear the bad stories, but always remember the children. It's the children who suffer, and they didn't choose their parents. They didn't choose where to be. Hey, perfectly imperfect. Hey, Barbie. They didn't choose where to be born, right? I didn't choose my parents. Did you? Even if you were adopted, you didn't choose your parents. So, I mean, I don't know if you get adopted. I guess you do have a say in it. So it's governed. There's here you can go to SNAP eligibility and do an online tool to see if you might qualify. You still have to go in and do it. It's by state. You have to go to your social services. But just to give y'all an idea, now, a disclaimer. Y'all know I don't like Trump. Y'all know I don't like this administration. I am not trying to make this about Trump or the administration. I'm trying not to kill my channel completely. Yeah, Christo, it helps people. And it's really meant for a short period of time, not forever. Hey, Peace Panda. I'm not making this about Trump. He happens to be the president. This happens to be happening. I can't help that. And if you are mad at me because I don't like him, I'm sorry. I can't pretend to be something that I'm not. I'm real with y'all. I'm right here. I tell you who I am. And I know politics is a bad topic, and I'm not trying, but they're going to talk about him. I've already mentioned that no other president has ever let food stamp SNAP. They've never let it lapse. And it's just what it is. Heather says, I am, but will be getting them November. I'm unable to work, fighting for my disability due to my liver failure. And I worry about my child, not myself. I can figure out how to survive. Yeah, yes. Thank you, Perfectly Imperfect. Thank you, Heather. I mean, if you disagree with me about the administration, that's fine. That's fine. I don't think you're going to like me, even if I didn't mention Trump, because I am a liberal. I'm a gay woman. So, that's going to throw a certain amount of people off anyway. Right. But the other day I heard Brittany Jackson, who actually has just lost her channel for 6 days. And that's probably where a lot of people are this morning talking about that. She got struck. But hold on. I respect your rights to your beliefs and feelings, even if they aren't the same as mine. Thanks, Christo. Yeah, I mean, our country's divided, and I know tipping my toe into this stuff, but we're not making this about the administration. We're making this about the children, the people who are hungry, the people who don't have food. Can you imagine not having food for, I don't know, a whole day? I can't even imagine, unless I specifically set out to fast, and I don't do that because I like to eat. Yeah, that's right. We have freedom of speech, and we have freedom to believe, and we actually have the freedom of speech is actually because we have the freedom to speak out against the government, right? That's what our military fights for. One of the things is our freedom of speech. It doesn't mean that I can say anything I want to on YouTube, because they have their rules, or I can say anything I want to anywhere else. Oh, worried about Christmas. Yeah, and Brittany the other day was talking about, and she was like, I wish I could get food stamps. And I was like, oh, everybody does, right? We all wish we could have that extra money to buy food, but in order to get that, you have to be like not bringing in much money. So boo-hoo, I guess you make too much. But the other thing was like, she's claiming that all these people called CPS and they called welfare and they called SNAP and they call all these places on her. If you aren't receiving benefits, they're not going to call you. 20 people could call and call CPS and say that I'm mistreating my children. I don't have children. I doubt CPS is going to call me, or welfare. They call welfare and they report me for something. I'm not on it. I'm not on anything. So, anyway, so that bothered me when she did that the other day. And I thought, you make money every day. I'm not even monetized. I'm not even making money. And I'm not coming in here and boo-hooing and crying. You want to know what? I just spent $1,000 on my 2 dogs just to get their shots. And one of them's got to go have a dental cleaning this week. I'm not asking y'all to pay for that. That's mine. That's my bills. That's on my credit card, right? But they never let us, though. She's delusional. Guarantee she gets Medicaid. She struck Queen Bee and the bee stung her back. I'm sure people like BJ are much better off than they let on, and much better off than a lot of others. Well, I don't know. I hear them talking about what they cooked and what they eat, and that infuriates me because they go out to eat. They have takeout. They cooked the other day all these meats, and I'm like, and they also had takeout. Can you imagine feeding 4 people takeout every day? Takeout. I haven't eaten takeout in months. It's just something that I don't want to spend my money on. Let me go to the store. I just went to the store and I spent $88 for about a week worth of food for me and the dogs. I didn't buy everything I need this week. I bought some things I need this week, but I could spend that in a couple of meals going out to eat easily, or 3 meals of takeout, 3 meals out of 21. Because I eat 3 meals a day, or kind of. So anyway, she claims at the welfare office, but says she's not on benefits. That's what I'm saying. Nobody would know they called. How would you know they called if you're not on? Welfare would be like, well, she's not, in there. They probably wouldn't tell you, but they would say, she's not on benefits, so hang up, That's crazy. She laid out steaks the other night and they didn't cook them. I got to get groceries today on the 4 of us for 2 weeks to spend about $500. Man, good luck. I'm hoping that you can figure out a way to eat healthy. That's the thing is it's difficult to eat healthy and eat, for less amount of money. And I can't afford it. It's a special occasion. Yeah, I probably will in December go out on my birthday or get takeout for my birthday or do something. I usually do that. And I used to eat out, I'd get takeout maybe once a week or something, but I'm not spending my money on that right now. Thank you. I'm glad because, I got these bills. So I want to watch this report to let him tell you what's going on. It's about 6 minutes. We'll break it up, and then we're going to go into more specifics and what people are saying and all that. Water Otter says, eat less and fasting is a good thing. Heather tries to buy in bulk. Well, it's hard for me to buy in bulk because it's just me. But so let's listen to this.
When, somebody's worried about something, but you don't have an answer to make them feel better. So you just say, don't worry, I got you. Well, that's what President Trump sounded like last night, talking about food stamp funding. Watch.
Are you going to direct the Department of Agriculture to fund food stamps next month?
Yeah, everybody's going to be in good shape. Yep.
That's the whole answer. Yeah, everybody's going to be in good shape. Yep. Now, that's relevant because the short response contradicts what his administration said this week in a memo obtained by CNN.
I just don't think that he understands the people, the poor. It's like, though, people don't care about poor people because, well, they got there themselves, but you don't know. Like I was working, you know, 2 or 3 jobs at a time, my full-time job and working other jobs too. And I couldn't work anymore because I was in so much pain, you know, and you can't just say that everybody's who's on SNAP is just wasting our government money. Yeah, you can't expect children to fast or eat less. That's true. All right, let's go. This is a memo that was sent out last week.
The Department of Agriculture says it has a $6 billion contingency fund, but it will not be used to cover food stamps and cover states' expenses. Those expenses from the states will not be reimbursed. So if the shutdown continues, roughly 42 million Americans will not get food assistance starting a week from today, November.
42 million people who are on SNAP benefits. And remember, there are people who are disabled, older people, like I'm 64. I'm the elderly, right? There are people in way worse condition than me who can't do anything. Like, you know, I can go out. I could work a part-time job, but who's going to hire me? Because I never know from day to day where my pain level's going to be. Some days, I mean, y'all don't see me every day. I'm not on here every day. I'm not on here for 6 or 8 hours a day. I'm on here a few times a week for an hour or two, right? Because I have a lot of pain. I sit here most of the time. I got a new heating pad for my neck. And I sit there, you know, yesterday watching football under that all day. But there are people in wheelchairs, unable to drive. There's just all these things that go into being too sick, like physically, you know, unable to function. They're included in this. So remember those people. Everybody wants to just think about those people who are cheating the system and eating steak and lobster, and which isn't really cheating the system, but it's kind of like you just spent your whole thing on one meal, you know. So
November 1st. Now, yesterday was payday for hundreds of thousands of federal workers. At least it was supposed to have been payday because they have now missed their first full paychecks. More will miss their first full paychecks in the next few days. A lot of people are already turning to food banks.
Did you hear that? So federal workers are not getting paid. None of these federal workers are getting paid. They're already going to food banks. You want to throw 42 million people? I forgot the number. It was 40 something. You want to throw those people, they don't have food. They're going to have to riot. I mean, I'm not saying go riot, but what are you going to do? You don't have any food. These food banks don't have a mass amount of extra food. It's pretty sad when your government workers are going, look, they're right there. They're in line to get food. Have you ever worked at a food bank? I've done it. I went to a church. We had a food bank every other Saturday or 2 Saturdays a month. I think it worked out. I think it was just 2 Saturdays a month. And we would give people like a tote full of food. And it wasn't like on Thanksgiving, they would get like a turkey, They would get things to make a meal. But throughout the year, they would just get what we had. You might get things of spaghetti sauce. Everybody got one of those. You might get a lot of canned veggies and stuff like that. Sometimes junk food and cereal and all that, and bread, day old bread that the grocery stores a lot of times these stores will they've been known to pour bleach on their food. But if you get a store that will donate, if you get somebody who will come pick it up and take it to the thing, you can, and then there's there's places like in Little Rock where the food gets processed out of, farmers give them food and then they distribute it. Like you might get rice and beans and stuff like that. Peach Panda just filled up a bag to donate food through the Boy Scouts. I'll probably do more because there are many worse off than me. I would do that too if I had any extra. Like I just don't. Okay, let's go.
I'm going to really be depending on the food banks, stuff that I can make a meal out of, or if I'm just going to be eating soup for the month.
It means it's a whole lot more that's got to come out of my Social Security check to buy food, and just a lot of other things like things I need in toiletries that I won't be able to get because of the fact that food will be a priority.
With my rent due next week, I could take anything I can get. At this point, I haven't gotten a paycheck this month. So the free groceries is very important, very helpful.
It's overwhelming. There are at least 200 to 300 people in this line that we're servicing today, federal employees. It's mind-boggling.
Chloe Campbell is founder and CEO of the Baby.
In the past, they did pay these federal workers, but this is the longest that the government has been shut down over funding, over not passing the funding bill. And people want to blame, they want to blame the Democrats, but it's everybody. I'm not blaming either side for the shutdown because I'm trying to stay kind of neutral, but it's longer than ever. These people are not guaranteed they're going to get paid after it. A friend of mine's husband, she posted on Facebook the other day, he's not getting paid. They're not expecting him to get back pay. It's happening. Craig said on her live the other day, she buys too much cheese and they have an entire drawer full that nobody will eat. Yes, I heard that, Liz. I did hear that. It's very sad. I don't think that I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, she doesn't understand how bad that sounds to people who were giving her money. And Brittany, where's the 8K? Because, you took all that money in for lawsuits and stuff, and you didn't spend 8K on 4 C&Ds. So I don't know how many days it's been that I did that short about that. Oh, yeah, and grocery stores are going to be losing all that money, too. Everybody that comes into the grocery store and uses EBT, not going to be buying that food anymore. So they're going to suffer. My grocery store is a Walmart marketplace. And I guess it was during COVID, they put in all self-check. And then they monitor, there's like 3 people standing there and they're watching everybody. And I've heard that there's been a lot of theft because, you can not scan stuff and take a risk on getting caught. I wouldn't do that. But you got people stealing so much that they've had to go back in and put in checkers. I get in there this morning. I went before I even did this live. I go in there. There's less self-check lines. Only the self-check is open. No checkers to check us out. Only the self-check. And there's like 4 people. The lines are 4 on each side. They don't even have all the self-checks open. And I'm just like, I'm not coming here anymore. And then one of the ladies that worked there motioned to me that she would go check me out. But that's because people steal. But yeah, these stores they're going to suffer. Then you're going to have more workers losing their jobs because the big stores aren't going to be able to afford it. To pay. There's not going to be enough people to, it's a lot. Normally these shutdowns are dealt with quickly. Our government needs to get it together. I agree. Liz, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she could have done these C&Ds for nothing. Yes, that's true, Peace Panda. It is both sides unwilling to compromise to reopen the government, in my opinion. I agree. I agree that there's not. I know that one side's standing their ground, and I agree with that, but that's me. But it's still on all of them. And the people in Congress do not understand the poor people out here who depend on, and I don't mean to be like poor people, but the less able people, the people who have lost their health, they're in poor health, they can't work. Children can't work. Children are going to go to school hungry, and the schools are losing their benefits to feed the children. That's all. Federal funding goes into so many programs, and it's not going to help. And you can't learn if you're hungry. So this just trickled down to everybody, really.
Baby Pantry, one of the many nonprofits helping families in need right now. Thank you for coming in. Before we look ahead, let's talk about what's happening right now.
Okay.
We're now in the 4th week of the shutdown, and we're here in the Atlanta area. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees not too far from here, CDC located here. What are you seeing in the first 3 weeks of the shutdown?
So a lot of families are reaching out because they're in need of assistance, baby food, because we assist families with younger children and infants. And so families are reaching out for baby food. They're reaching out for baby formula. They're also reaching out for other essentials, diapers, wipes, and clothing. So a lot of families right now are in need.
Yeah. I had in the last show, I spoke with someone who is involved closely with nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
The nonprofits across the country are seeing that their funding is on hold from the federal government because of the shutdown. You've got the people who are not being paid because of the shutdown as well. What do you expect this will look like? Week 1 in November, week 2, week 3, if this goes on?
I think we'll see a significant increase right now with the coming weeks. I think that we'll see have like a really high demand for those workers that are not receiving pay. So we're just trying to embrace ourselves for that.
And we didn't see this in the 2018 and 2019 shutdown because there was a plan if there was a pause of WIC, if there was a pause of SNAP benefits, but ends met because it ended sooner than that. Are you equipped? Are you stocked to help the people who will be surging toward your doors?
So yes and no. So due to a recent move, we did have to temporarily close our doors. And so we are looking to see how we are able to pivot and how we are able to get the essentials that the families will need.
Yeah.
So,
how can people help?
so they can reach out to us, our website, www.thebabypantry.org. They can send us an email at info@thebabypantry.org, and they can reach out that way.
You may not have noticed government workers aren't necessarily a big amount of people in every community. We've got pretty much every decent sized city has a federal building. We have a federal building here. But as far as like a lot of employees, like a whole lot that you would notice, go to DC. I mean, a lot of those people are government employees in different areas in the country. So you're not necessarily going to see that all over the country. But I don't know, like I live in a national park, so we've probably got more than any other, than a city like the size of mine. We probably have more because it is a federal park.
Are you seeing a softening of support? Because obviously when people have to triage and they have to prioritize paying the bills when less money's coming in, they have less to give, less to support.
Yeah.
Companies are maybe tightening the belt. What are you seeing there?
I think we've built a pretty solid foundation here in Atlanta. We have a lot of really great donors that help us, and so I think that with the support of the community, we do have the help here. So.
Yeah. What do you feel when you see some of these, especially federal workers? These are, I want to dispel the notion that people who go to charities and go for help are not working people, right? Most of these people are working people.
Yeah.
And when they come to you, what do you feel and see?
It's just a feeling of sadness because I think that, because it's not just people that are, like you said, that are not working. Some people, they have good jobs, laid off, of course. So we see a different, a background of different people, but it's just a feeling of sadness. Some people are just really facing a lot of hard times and just kind of have like a really great need, and especially children, like they're very vulnerable. And so it's just a disgrace.
Yeah. I mean, whether or not the president invites Schumer and Jeffries to the White House, the kids got to eat.
Right.
The rent has to be paid. Formula has to be purchased. The diapers have to be purchased.
Right.
Everything has to keep moving. Those mouths are going to be hungry. Chloe Campbell,
Yeah.
The Baby Pantry, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank
know,
you, Heather. Yes, please hit the like button. I was hoping we would get more people interested in this very human topic about what's happening to our country right now, what's happening to people, not the White House getting torn down or, you know, people losing their jobs, but people needing food. Please hit the like button. Please get this out as much as you can. So I clicked on here yesterday on X, and I don't know who any of these people are, but here's where this all gets a bad. Well, this is somebody who claims that they worked at a grocery store. So she says, I worked in a grocery store for 5 years, and I'm here to tell you that people using SNAP are absolutely not buying steaks and lobster. They're buying 20 cans of beefaroni when it's on sale for $1 a can, though, because that will feed them for a while. Don't come at me with your BS excuses. No one deserves to go hungry. And that's the thing is like, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. SNAP is a good program, a federally funded program, and you can't take that away just because some people abuse it. It would be like people abuse anything. You can't shut the highways down because people were driving 100 miles an hour and caused a wreck. So because people are lying and doing things, not maybe lying, but there's a lot of people saying that they know people who buy drugs, that they trade their SNAP benefits for drugs. I'm not sure how you do that now that it's on a card. It is on a EBT card. It's electronic. Back in the day, you actually got paper food stamps. So I don't know, but this person says, I worked at a stop and go while in college. It was down the street from a bingo hall. I used to quietly wonder why people would buy garbage snacks with their food stamps before going to spend money gambling. They should have been spending that gambling money on food and grocery stores. Well, you can judge people, and that's going to be an exception, right? There's exceptions to everything, but there's millions of more people out here that really, really, really need the food. People go grocery shopping and then eat snacks when they're out. You worked at a stop and go. Hope that helps. It's not that complicated. Yeah, you worked at a stop and go. You probably don't make enough money either. And this one, why do people police? I don't give a F what food they buy. Are they supposed to eat curds and whey? So what if they buy steak and lobster? They're not bothering anyone. Stigmatizing and shaming people for being poor. Telling them they should only buy beans and day-old bread is, well, I'm not going to say the word, but it's bad behavior. Leave people TF alone. And this one says, I don't care what they buy, and most non-SNAP receiving Americans aren't buying steak and lobster on a daily basis. It is. Heather says, it is, and the kids do not deserve to suffer. My daughter didn't ask for me to have a failing liver and need a transplant. The kids don't deserve this. They don't deserve this. And then this one says, y'all out here cheering that SNAP's delayed like it's some kind of win, as if cutting off food for struggling families somehow makes America great again. Newsflash, those EBT cards you love to hate are what keeps your local economy alive. That's millions of federal dollars gone from the economy when it should go straight to grocery stores, farmers, and food distributors. It's how small town stores keep their doors open and how farmers sell their crops. We've already had, the farmers are already in trouble because of funding cuts and everything else in the last year. The tariffs are causing farmers problems. A lot of farms are shutting down. That's how people lived it's so much going into this. You're not stopping the freeloaders, you're stopping everyone. Every dollar in SNAP spending turns into about $1.50 to $1.80 in local economic activity. Where was I? When SNAP gets delayed, grocery stores lose sales. When stores lose sales, people get fired. We were just talking about that because somebody pointed it out to me. I didn't even think about all that. I didn't think about when I was at the Walmart neighborhood grocery this morning that some of these people are going to lose their jobs because of all this money that's not going to be coming in next week. When farmers can't move produce, prices rise even more. And when that happens, guess who it hits first? Not the CEOs, you. So yeah, maybe don't celebrate families going hungry and small businesses losing income in the same breath. Because the economy doesn't crumble from the top down, it collapses from the bottom up. They're not draining the swamp, they're drowning you. There's also going to be problems with medical insurance and stuff. There's hospitals closing. That's not because of SNAP, but because of a lot of these federal funding things that are going on. But the president can fly all over to go to golf courses and spend millions of dollars. And I know all the presidents did that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're spending money and the poor people are suffering at the same time. And it just doesn't look good. Okay. This person says, I worked for a grocery company for 16 years, and it was real education, one that everyone would benefit from. Some recipients do and some don't buy what others feel fits what SNAP stands for. But no matter, SNAP is one of the most worthwhile programs and one anybody might need one day. Keep that in mind if you're one of the people who just wants to badmouth it, that this is a necessary program. You're going to see, I'm like, what's going to happen? These people are not going to have food. And there's even saying that if you have a buildup of funds, if you haven't, used your SNAP card down to zero, to use it before November 1st, to go buy, just stock up if you have anything in there, which most people probably don't, because there's something about it may not even you may not be able to use it. Check with your local. Don't go by what I'm saying because I don't know it as a fact. Go check on it. Go to your local, wherever you get your EBT from, your local DHS or whatever. Peace Panda says the people in charge right now are all wealthy. They don't know what it's like to go through this stuff a lot of the regular Americans are dealing with, and they don't seem to care. I agree. You don't have people in Congress or the White House for any of that. You don't have people sitting there wondering how they're going to buy food for their children. They're wealthy. People in Washington, in the people who are in these jobs, they don't need money. They don't have to worry about food. They probably never have. If you've ever been on SNAP, I was on it for 3 months. You understand. It was beyond my control. I was glad it was there. I got $200 a month for 3 months to buy food because I couldn't work. Farmers are very important, and those banks are not going to think twice before they start demanding payment, or they may lose their homes and land if they do not own it flat out. Yes, we're talking about people losing their homes. How are people even paying rent right now? I don't even know. By blow up, I only mean to call, of course. Oh yeah, call everybody. Call your Congress people. Two of mine happened to be in my town the other day, but we didn't know about it. We didn't know they were going to be in town, that we could go talk to them because it was a private event. They don't talk to us. My 4 in-state of Arkansas congressmen and senators don't have places we can go talk to them. They just don't. 42 million Americans, 12.3% of the U.S. population are on SNAP. 12% of you might live in a really wealthy area, but just think about your town as a whole. The bad neighborhoods, the wealthy neighborhoods, the neighborhoods that are the poor neighborhoods, and think about the people around you. And who do you think might be on SNAP? It might be those people with 4 or 5 kids. It might be that lady over there across the street who has no kids. She's older and she can't work. And her Social Security doesn't pay her enough because it is based on income, Social Security. And if you didn't make a lot of money when you were younger, you're not going to get, like, because there's a top limit and then there's a bottom limit, and you're going to get somewhere in between. And some people, that's not enough to live on. But 12.3% of any population, I mean, that's a lot, and they're on SNAP. A majority of the adults receiving benefits already have jobs. People are not out here free. Yes, there are some people freeloading, but the majority of people on SNAP are not, because if the majority of people on SNAP were cheating the system and lying about all this stuff, then let's get them off of it. But you can't cut a bunch of federal government jobs and then expect to make these decisions about, well, this person's buying lobster with it. They're not going to do that anyway, but this person, we need to audit. Are they really deserving of all this money? Ramen noodles, cheapest canned vegetables, cheapest milk, cheapest bread, peanut butter and jelly. The thought that people with money believe, without even seeing the low-income families shop for the cheapest ways to try to feed their families, is an outright ignorance. Wake TFU America. The stereotype of food stamps only being for lazy people trying to calm the system is gross and not reality. Liz, that's why I'm doing this, right? I want people to be educated to that. And I want people who are on food stamps to not feel bad about it, because I don't think anybody who's watching this or will watch this is on food stamps and buying lobster. I just don't. Steak and lobster. Maybe they did once. Maybe before prices got so high, it was their birthday, and rather than, going out to eat and spending $150, they bought steak and lobster for their birthday. Maybe that happens. You can't fault people for that. All of the reps in DC Congress have toll-free numbers to their office. Call them. Yes, Christo, you can call them. You won't get them, but you'll get representatives. And I did a whole video about that months ago when they were threatening to take Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare and all these programs that help old people and young people and everybody in between. Not here. I do okay to get ground turkey. Right, Heather. I eat a lot of chicken. You can survive. I could survive on peanut butter and jelly if I had to, but is it healthy? Is that healthy? Do you want your children who are growing and trying to learn and going through all the things that children go through? Do you want them to only live on, I have friends only live on like peanut butter and jelly, but I have friends who a lot of children will only eat certain things. Like this little boy will only eat chicken nuggets from, like a couple of places and pizza. And that's all he will eat. There's just a lot of kids like that. Yes, and the sick people. I mean, really, the things that are happening, a lot of these things that are happening are worse than than during COVID. Everybody was locked up in their houses, but they didn't have to worry about food. The Supreme Court are fighting to get the supremacist, I don't know what that is, are fighting to get the America they want. They've been planning for 60 years. Trump is their useful idiot who's getting them their priorities and helping himself at the same time. I do think this is all part of a bigger plan, Project 2025. I think that that there's a lot that they've already done to go to Project 2025. And here's a good one. This person, says, I am a disabled senior. I get $89 a month in SNAP benefits. I remember when those 3 months I was on it, and then I didn't qualify, but I got like $8 or something. It was like you could buy you know, I mean, if you cooked a lot, you could buy like your flour and sugar or things like that with that money. But Christo says, I haven't been able to afford steak since Biden took office. Honestly, it's not always about the who's the president. It really goes beyond all that. It's the whole administration that's in there, but you've also got Congress, you've also got the Supreme Court making decisions, but I don't think they really decide on food stamps. This person says, I remember when I was on food stamps, the physical coupon, I ate top ramen for weeks so I could save up for a T-bone steak for my birthday. It took me 30 years before I could eat ramen again. Trump and the GOP want to slash $230 billion from it, kicking $9 million to the curb, all while they cozy up to billionaires and tax breaks. It is, we were talking the other day, it's very bad optics when you've got $300 million going into building a ballroom in Washington, D.C. that most of us will never, ever go in, nor even see. I've been to D.C. twice, but I don't see that I'm going to have in my future to travel. I can't afford to travel. None of us will even see it. It's going to be bigger than the White House. It's going to be gaudy. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about eating. Besides the children, elderly, and sick, I also worry about animals. A lot of people end up giving up their pets when they cannot afford to care for them. And the shelters are suffering. Peace Panda, that's a whole nother live stream that that's a whole nother thing that I'm going to cover, is what goes on in the animal communities, right? People can't afford, like, a lot of people will adopt a pet and then they just decide that it's too much work or whatever. And then they've got, or that pet didn't work out for them. So there's a lot of that anyway. But if you got to choose between feeding yourself and feeding your pets, it's going to come to a point where the pets are going to have to go. I mean, you just can't. I mean, my pets keep me alive. So I would probably feed them more than I would feed me. But I have to be alive to feed them. So, and I didn't even think about next week if and when this happens, that SNAP benefits are cut off. I didn't even think about the immediate problem with feeding the pets. My local animal shelter, I get the Facebook post every day. They are begging people, please. We just took in 14 dogs from one hoarding home. We don't have pens for them. We need you to come adopt. Not maybe them, but there's other dogs and cats, and they have a food bank where you can go get food for your dog, for your pets. They'll have like 8 people came today. We had 1 adoption. We had 3 cat adoptions. We had 1 dog adoption. We had 8 people come use our food bank. What's that going to be like in a few weeks? Because if I was looking to get another dog, I'm not even on SNAP. I wouldn't be doing it right now. I wouldn't. I'm just, like I said, I just spent $1,000 for these 2, and I've got at least another 500 coming up this week for them. We are a wealthy nation. Why wouldn't we feed our people? That's what somebody said. Why? We really can't afford to feed these people? $307 for 2 people. Wow, that is... I mean, I spend more than that just for me. It includes my dogs, so... Peace Panda, I agree with you, Heather. I fear that crime will start to increase out of necessity and desperation of some people. Yep. My animals will eat before I do. I look forward to that stream, Barb. I am a huge animal lover and volunteered for a no-kill for years. I also supported several dollars, and I've seen a lot. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to go about it, and I'm thinking about going out and interviewing the woman that's the officer in charge at ours. I know she would do it. And then using that within my live stream. I plan to dance in that ballroom myself. Hello. Maybe when I'm a ghost. Yes, I hear that, Barb. I know firsthand what goes on in animal shelters. Many need so much help. It's so sad. Most of my donated money and goods goes to help animals. You have a good heart. I would do the same. Animals mean so much to me. Um, Here's another one. This is so dumb. Growing up on food stamps and don't remember anyone, including us, buying expensive steaks. The priciest thing I remember getting was fresh fruits and vegetables. People on food stamps have families to feed. They're trying to make it last, not splurge. The narrative is ridiculous. What the fuck? You've got people who don't drive. I've got neighbors. I see them walk by with bags of groceries. Some people don't live close enough to a grocery store to go buy fruits and veggies. They live close to a Dollar General. That's why Dollar General is making so much, because they're out away from, the cities where people may not have transportation, and you can go in there and you can buy a lot of snack foods, but you can't. I don't know. I don't go in them, but I mean, I haven't been in one in a long time. Maybe you could buy some fruit and veggies. I doubt it. They're called food deserts. They're places where people don't have access to fresh produce and fresh meat and things like that. And they can only buy packaged food, which is not the healthiest option. So you got to think about, a lot of these people are probably on food stamps, don't have a car. They don't have transportation. That may be why they're not able to work. Hey, Toxicity, good to see you. We're talking about food stamps and stuff because some people have the wrong idea, Toxicity. All these people bitching what people buy with SNAP. Maybe you should be more pissed that our government gets first class on private air travel, wines and dines at five-star restaurants and hotels. Hey, Dreams. Have mansion, eats like a king 24/7, and plays the system better than a pro in a casino. Really, I've been seeing it a lot on X, Toxicity, and I'm not a TikToker, so that's why I decided to cover this today, because it's probably gonna. Oh, Betty Dan Boop's here. Oh, there she is. Hey, Betty, good to see you. I think next week could be very telling. If this happens on November 1st, if you're just coming in, November 1st is the cutoff when there's supposedly not going to be any more funding for SNAP. There are also a lot of other government programs that probably won't be funded because the government's in a shutdown. And this is the first time, if it happens, that SNAP hasn't been covered by emergency funds during a government shutdown. And I don't see any end in sight for the government shutdown because they're not really talking that much. This person says SNAP is like $10 a week of your taxes. If $10 makes someone's life better, I'm happy for it. And then adds $10 is a 6-pack for me. Really? You can get beer for $10? If poor people were getting steak and I wouldn't give a fuck, because I know I likely have access to a lot of luxuries that they don't. And look, no one deserves to go hungry. This shit really shouldn't be controversial. Right. It shouldn't be, like I said, I'm not trying to go at either side of the aisle. I'm not trying to go at Trump. It's just feed the people, please. And you can't stop people from getting funding because some people break the law or break the rules. Just like I said, you can't shut highways down because people drive too fast or run stoplights or don't wear their seatbelts. You penalize that person, and then they have to pay the fine or they have to go to jail or whatever happens. Oh, it's crazy because SNAP doesn't fully cover a month of food. It offsets maybe half of what you might need to spend. I never understood why it mattered if I paid cash or EBT for a bag of chips when both were getting spent. I mean, this people in here it actually reminded me or told me, it's also going to damage your stores because they get this money. This money flows through your local economy. It's the tax dollars. I don't think you pay tax on SNAP, but all that money that comes in through SNAP is tax money, and it goes into these grocery stores and it helps support their bottom line, right? If you don't work, you qualify, and if you make $1 or more, you don't qualify. That's what I've been reading. You guys that know me that just came in, I was talking earlier about how when I had my first 2 surgeries and I had so much pain that I couldn't work anymore, and I had to go without pay you can't get unemployment when you're become disabled, and I couldn't draw my company disability because you have to wait 3 months. So I had to go without income for 3 months, and I qualified easily because I had a mortgage. This was when I lived in Little Rock. And then I got, my disability kicked in from work, and it wasn't a lot, but it threw me out. It threw me like to get $8 and something a month on food stamps, which is $8 more than, but still. Again, bottom line, children are going to go hungry. Toxicity says, I'm worried about the kids going hungry, but I often wonder why people keep having a lot of kids. Yes. And they were encouraging people to have kids. I think the administration was saying they were going to give them or did that happen where they were giving people like $5,000 to have a kid because people are not having as many children? But you see people with all these children. I mean, I see them in the store sometimes, and I'm like, how can you even do this? There are women who have a lot of baby daddies and don't work, so they get SNAP and welfare because of the kids. That's true, Christo. I think that is true. I think a lot of people, they have kids, they get more money. Every time they have another child, they get more money. But it costs so much to raise children that obviously it doesn't really pay to do that, right? To have a bunch of kids just so you can get the government to pay you. I can't imagine being hungry either, Betty Dan Boop. It's these children. And I live in a neighborhood where, like I said, these people have to walk. Some of these people have to walk there's a store. I'm guessing it's about, I never walk that way when I'm out. It's probably maybe a half a mile from like my home right here. But to have to walk down there, and it's not the least price store. I've been in it. I used to go in it when I was in a hurry because it was just right down the street, but their food's more expensive. Toxicity says, I've seen people on TikTok say, I've got 7 kids and we're all about to be without food stamps. Oh, that's, well, in my opinion, it's dumb to have 7 kids, but at the same time, I can't, who am I to judge? I mean, at this point, they done messed up. They've already messed up. So, I don't know. Yes, it's horrible and it's flat out not fair, not their fault, but they will suffer. Yeah, it's everywhere. Let's see. Occasionally, do people not understand that the allotment is for the entire month? That's 28 to 31 days. And the most SNAP recipients' goals are to actually eat food on most of those 28 to 31 days. Can't do that if you spend it all on first day. Show some common sense. Where was that? I saw where Congress, let me look that up. Hold on a minute. Just looking something up because Congress gets a per diem. Oh, I messed up a lot. Allowance. Members of Congress receive a food allowance through the Members Representation Allowance, which is a reimbursement for expenses including meals and incidentals incurred while working in Washington, D.C. Members can claim reimbursement for meals with daily limits, and the amount varies based on location and travel. The specific rates are adjusted and overseen by the committee. Okay. I saw somewhere like how much it was. It was like 30 something. Okay, here. As of January 2024, so it's probably gone up this year. They get $15 for lunch. They get $26 for dinner and $5 for incidentals. Maximum a day, $59. So $59 isn't really a lot of money, but SNAP benefits, let me see. I think I got that. SNAP pays, it's like $8 a day or something. It's like not very much. But let's go back. What everybody needs to know. Because of that, the United States has notified that states that it does not have sufficient funding to guarantee full SNAP benefits for November. People on SNAP have been notified by their states that they may lose it. If you lost your SNAP benefits, you should plan for the possibility that your November payment might be delayed or not issued. I don't know if you'll get back pay. Let's see. Bottom line, you should assume there is a serious risk of disruption starting November 1st. Unless Congress acts this week, it's going to happen. Let's see. SNAP isn't a lazy people program. The dogs are getting restless. It's a working people program. It's for people who work mostly. Yeah. So Betty Dan Boop, you've been seeing a lot of people covering this on here. But yeah, Congress gets like $59 a day. Dogs are acting up. Quit. Hold on a second. Come here. I love these puppies, but man, I'm trying to do my job here. This is my job. Let's see. And then what are you going to do? It isn't for lazy people. Wages haven't kept up. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, same as it's been since 2009. Can you imagine working for $7.25 an hour? You know how much that is a year? Let me get my calculator. You can multiply it by, I used to work for an accountant, and you do it like this. 2080 times 725. If you work minimum wage job, you make around $15,000 a year from one, if you work one job. Something around $15,000 a year. Now look at how much you bring in and see if you could manage on 15. I don't know hardly anybody who could manage on $15,000 a year. You'd have to work more than one job. You'd have to have housing benefits, help with your housing, help with your food, all these things. And you could be working you could work two jobs and still. So say you worked 80 hours a week and had two full-time jobs. You could make $30,000 a year. That's not very much money either. So there's reasons why people need help. It's not because they're not. There are people who are lazy and don't work and get this stuff, and maybe they have too many kids, and then you talk about daycare for your children and stuff. No way. But SNAP fills the gap. It's not a luxury. SNAP's not a luxury. If you were getting SNAP right now, would you feel like, oh, I've made it in the world? No, you would feel like you'd be embarrassed. When I was on it for 3 months, I wasn't running around telling anybody, and I was embarrassed at the store that somebody was going to notice that I was using a SNAP card. Yeah, I was embarrassed. And I've never been a rich person at all. I've never made a lot of money. So the average benefit is about $2 per meal, $2. And most households run out before the end of the month. Those steak and lobster viral clips, usually staged or exaggerated. Real families are stretching pasta, canned goods, and bulk rice. Let's see. If you're making $12 an hour and trying to feed 2 kids, SNAP isn't a handout. It's how you survive. People don't get rich off benefits. They stay fed enough to keep showing up to work. Let's stop acting like hunger is a moral failure. It's an economic one. So, it infuriates me when people want to continually and make fun of it and make fun of people who have to have it. I promise you that a majority of people who get SNAP are not celebrating that they get SNAP. I mean, yes, the help is very necessary, but they're not throwing parties about it. Hey, Tracy, regarding the food stamps controversy, someone asked BJ if she could get them. She said no, she makes too much, but isn't on a lot. Yeah, I said that earlier in the show, that Brittany said she wished she could get food stamps, and it just kicked me back because I'm like, yeah, we would all wish we could get them, but you understand that means that you're not making very much money. It's sad. And you don't come on your live streams and brag about, not brag necessarily like, we had steak, but to tell us that you had steak, that you cooked chicken, steak, pork, all these things one night, and you also had takeout. And you eat takeout. We hear about it all the time. Takeout, this and that, BJ. It's wrong. She makes too much to get. Betty Boot says, I watch a lady who makes $10 meals and she does a great job. That's interesting. SNAP is, I guess you could call it welfare. It's a federal program. I think it's offered through DHS. I don't remember. I remember going into an office and I had to take bank statements, and I didn't have pay stubs because I had, I guess, something showing I didn't have that I was on leave for medical reasons from work. Not leave, but in between working and getting disability from my job. I had to be off for 3 months. And on top of that, I had 2 surgeries, so I had medical bills to pay. But yeah, I mean, what is welfare really? What is it defined as? Let's see, welfare. Welfare can refer to the general state of programs and assistance provided by governments to help those in need. So I guess you could call it welfare. Medicaid's a welfare program. I guess care, taking care of people. To combat poverty by providing aid such as cash, food, subsidies, housing assistance, and healthcare. So all those things, you can't pay the amount rent goes up in this economy. You've got everything going up and benefits being taken. And it's just one thing after the other. And it, just like we were saying a minute ago, which y'all taught me about how the stores are going to suffer because they're going to lose that money that comes in. And I would guess that quite a few people that I see at my store where I buy groceries get SNAP. I would guess that because it's not I'm not in the wealthy part of town. I don't see a lot of people that look like they have money, which you can't tell always by how somebody looks, but yeah, there's on welfare is a term for someone receiving these government benefits. So yeah, it's government benefits paid through you apply and receive through the state you're in. It's very helpful. Definitely not a choice. If I could work, I'd rather rent. It's very expensive and I appreciate getting them. I've learned to prep ahead as I could not. Yeah. Barb, you were the ideal candidate for SNAP or assistance. You used it when you needed it and got off it when you didn't. I think there are some who take advantage of the system, but I think a lot of people, I don't know how they do it, but we can't judge that a mom's getting all this SNAP because she's got 5 kids and take the SNAP away. And then what's she supposed to do? I mean, she's in a situation that, yes, she had a mighty hand in, right? But you got to think about what's going to happen to those children when there's no food. A lot of people they say they run out before the end of the month. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you're already out and it's the 26th of October and come November 1st, you're not going to get that money. And you may be if you're on food stamps, you're probably, I always call them food stamps, but if you're on SNAP, you're probably on other things as well. You get help with your rent. You get help with your, what else is, I didn't get any, I just got, my only welfare I got when I was on 3 months without pay was, I got SNAP. So people who will be losing their jobs due to job cuts will be forced into the same situation. Well, we showed earlier the food line at a food bank, because there's a lot of federal workers who lost their jobs. They're on layoff right now. They're not expected to get back pay, which it's always happened before. You're in the government shutdown, you're working for free, but then you get it paid when the government comes back up, you get all that back pay. And I used to talk to a guy all the time when I worked for the trucking newspaper, because he worked at the, I guess, DOT, Department of Transportation, and he was one of our contacts we could talk to, and he would be there during government shutdowns. And he said, I'll get paid when it's all over. But this time they're saying it's not going to be guaranteed. So what's going to happen to all those people? They had a job, they had benefits through their job, and now they're laid off. Are they getting their health insurance paid still? Are they insured? Are they getting, they're not getting a paycheck? I just can't even imagine all this happening at one time. All these 32 million, what was it? 32 million people are on. Yeah, it's just a lot. And if children tell you they are hungry, caseworkers get involved in what they will be taking away that is not good for them. They suffer enough. Yeah. You're talking, families that are, if a lot of families, not every one of them, but a lot of families with children who are dependent upon SNAP to feed them, they're not living in the best conditions either. Like they're not in a place where they've got money in the bank that's saved up. They're not in a place where, they've got children. They need diapers. They need wipes. They need all these things that, I guess there's still WIC programs and stuff that help with that. The food banks are overrun right now with federal workers in areas that have a lot of federal workers, right? Not every area is going to have a lot. Areas around Washington, D.C. going to have the most federal workers, and then other parts of the country. So you're going to do all that at the same time. All these workers are unemployed, can't draw unemployment because it's temporary. And there's been other job cuts too. So just so worried about it. I'm completely worried about it. Let's see what else I had. I wanted to go over how, like, oh, they're also unavailable since the shutdown. But you can go on to USDA.gov, and we're in the SNAP Nutritional Assistance Program. And you can go in here and it can tell you how much, like, how much you can make, how much, how big your need has to be to even get it. What can SNAP buy? You can go look all on the real truth is all in here. Oops. What can SNAP buy? Any fruits and vegetables, meat, poultry and fish, dairy products, bread and cereals, other foods such as snack foods and non-alcoholic beverages, and seeds and plants which produce food for the household to eat. Now, in Arkansas, you can no longer buy, I don't know if you could still buy cereal, but you can't buy chips or soft drinks. This says you can buy other foods such as snack foods and non-alcoholic beverages, but you can't do that in Arkansas anymore. And I'm thinking some other states did it as well, that you can't buy anymore. No chips, no snack foods. You can't buy beer, wine, liquor, cigarettes, cannabis-infused drinks, no CBD, vitamins, medicines, and supplements. Live animals like lobster, live lobster to go cook and eat. Foods that are hot at the point of sale. They did add, I know in Arkansas, you couldn't buy food, ready to eat food, like in the deli at your grocery store. They did add that you can buy those rotisserie chickens with SNAP in Arkansas when they cut out snack foods, right? I guess you can't buy Little Debbie's and stuff. Any non-food items such as pet foods, cleaning supplies, paper products, and other household supplies, hygiene items, and cosmetics. So if you're on SNAP, you can't buy your laundry detergent, but how do you pay to do your laundry? How do you provide all those things? You don't have enough money to buy food, but you can't buy it with this. It's a lot. You can't. I'm big about gratitude. Let me just stop right now and say I'm so grateful that I have what I have. My house needs a lot of work done, and I look around and I'm sad about it, and I'm sad that I ended up in a position where this is the best I have. But I'm so grateful that I'm not paying out, $1,500 a month rent, or 12, even 1,000 to rent a place that's not even mine. I'm just grateful that I have a roof over my head and I have electricity. And when people got to make a choice between eating and, what they're going to have to revolt or something. Yeah, you could Charlie, how do you say your name? Pasta, rice, beans, oatmeal, potatoes. Yes, you can all survive on that. You could survive on that. I'd hate to be raising a child and that's all I could feed them, because they need other food sources for that. Yeah, you're probably not going to starve. If you could eat all those kind of things and probably you won't starve, but some of these people might not even have money to buy that. But I know you can buy 2 pounds of rice for, like, what is it, like $1 or something? Dollar store items. I think a lot of people already do that too. What are staple foods? Let's look at wonder if there's anything that sells what. Let me see. Hold on, please. I'm still here. Federal food. Here, let's see what this is.
Is growing.
Hold on, I'm going to show y'all another video here. This is out of Chicago. I mean, because I don't know everything. I'm definitely needing help here. Here we go.
Concern for the nearly 42 million Americans who rely on federal food assistance. Their benefits could soon disappear as that government shutdown stretches on with no end in sight. CBS's Christina Fahn has more on the shutdown's real-world impact.
I think people are starting to panic.
Food banks around the country are flashing warning signs.
We've been having about 7 to 10 new people a day this week.
Look at that. That was full this morning.
The pantry at Calvary Episcopal Church in Kentucky ran out of food for the first time in its 43-year history.
We feel like this is the tip of the iceberg.
Members of the California National Guard are now deployed to help food banks in the state. In Massachusetts, 16% of residents rely on SNAP benefits, which provide an average of $187 a month, or about $6 a day. Democratic Governor Maura Healey holds President Trump responsible.
You know, leadership is a choice. And sadly, President Trump has chosen to take away food from people all around this country.
The USDA says it will not use emergency funds for food benefits. Aboard Air Force One, President Trump told reporters he's not to blame.
Well, I'm going to let some other people talk to you. I'll have a comment on that later, but the Democrats are stopping it.
The sudden loss in federal food aid will ripple beyond homes into stores and businesses. Every dollar in SNAP benefits generates $1.54.
There goes your, they're right there. Government shutdown threatens food aid, and it's economics for everybody, not just those who receive it. Are they going to raise our prices because they're not selling as much because SNAP money's not folding in? I think the meat will get marked down because it'll get old because, it'll be on that. You can get meat sometimes on that last day that it's still good. They're probably going to have too much meat and stuff.
An economic activity.
Quite a bit of our sales come from EBT recipients. Right now it's making up about 10 to 15% of our total sales a month.
Democrats say they will not vote to reopen the government unless there is an extension of health care subsidies for millions of Americans, while Republicans say they want to reopen the government first before any negotiating. Christina Fahn, CBS News, New York.
We may have heard some reporting about a mystery donor who gave $130 million to help pay U.S. troops during this government shutdown. Well, tonight, the New York Times is reporting that that donor is Timothy Mellon. He is a billionaire Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah. Just a second.
There is growing concern.
Let's see. Betty Dan Boop. Yeah, I started off the live stream saying that, I'm trying to keep this nonpartisan, but the Trump administration is in charge. The Republicans have Congress. They have both on the Senate and the House. They have the majority on both. And the Supreme Court is leaning right as well. So, and who's to blame? Let's get this. I understand both sides, but can we not feed the innocent people in the middle of this fight? Let's see. 36 states where SNAP benefits are at risk. Is it not all the world? The whole United States? So we got to think about, I mean, no matter if you, let's see, remove that. No matter if you are mad because people get SNAP, which I've tried to show you that, yes, it gets abused by some people, but it's not everybody. And there are people who need it. And we're already burdened with the government shutdown. There was already a lot of federal workers laid off before the government shutdown. Now all those people are not getting paid. All the government shutdown, they're not working, they're not getting paid. They may have skeleton crews. Those people won't get paid. They've always been paid before, but this one's looking different. This one's looking a little different, but think about, even if you hate somebody because you know they're getting it and it's not fair. It's not fair. And I know I feel that same way too. If I saw somebody buying better food than I could buy and they're getting SNAP, I'd be like, that's not fair. But would you rather be them? Would you rather be that person who's getting those benefits, even if they're lying? Because you know what goes around comes around. There's a thing called karma, if you believe in that. There's things that if people are cheating, they might get caught in some other time. You know, like I ran a red light. I got a ticket. It was a total accident. I didn't see it and then go, oh, I'm going to run it. I pulled out in a place that's between two lights. And when I was looking at traffic and there was a cop sitting right there and he got me. And I'm like, okay. I didn't fight about it. I just was like, have I run red lights before? Maybe, when it turns yellow and you're in that, do I go or do I stop? But eventually things like that catch up with you. That's like a drunk driver that drives that way a lot. They may do it 50 times and that 51st time they get caught. So people who are cheating usually will get caught, but I don't want to live their life, even if they're eating steak and lobster. If they're that type of person, I don't want to be that person. I'm an honest human being. I don't, So however you feel about this, think about the children. Think about the elderly, or even people who they might not be elderly and they became disabled. They can't work. Think about that. Think about the people who are innocent in this, who are sitting there, and these federal workers who just lost their income. They're sitting there doing their job every day. And now there's a government shutdown, and what? What would you do? What would you do if whatever income you're on today went away November 1st and you have no end in sight for when that's going to come back? How would you react? What would you do? What would you eat? I mean, I've probably got enough food in here to eat. There's some soup I bought back during COVID, trying to kind of stock up a little bit. 3 cans of soup that's out of date. I would eat that. That would be, they're those chunky soup things. I could probably eat, I could probably survive on, I could easily survive on that for a few days. Think about the mom on unpaid maternity leave. Don't give two shits, 76 says. There's a lot of innocent people out here. Yes, there's people who are there. There's women who are pregnant who, they're dependent on these programs to help with their child. Should they have gotten pregnant? Well, that's not my job to determine. We were made to have children. I've gotten people mad because why didn't you have kids? Well, it is scary times. Just think before judging others, which we're all guilty of doing at some point. Thank you, Heather. That's exactly that. A good way to wrap it up. Think about the people who are innocent and don't think about the people who are abusing it, because I guarantee out of 32 million people, which they said was like 13% of the population of the United States, is dependent upon this food. That's including children. That's including people who have had, had injuries, people who can't work, they're sick, they need a new liver. Somebody in here is needing a liver. I mean, there's certain things you can't work when you have them. Don't give two shits. I work with people with disabilities. Staff are pulling together to try to help. And yeah, and how long and how far will that go? And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So maybe think about, well, is there any food here that, I could donate? Do I have anything I can help with? Can I help anybody? Instead of getting mad and saying, there, and I get that you're mad because somebody else bought steaks with theirs. Or somebody's making money on the side and they're not showing it and they're getting benefits. They're cheating the system. Again, what goes around comes around, and they'll get theirs or not. It's not our decision who gets it. Amber says it's not as abused as it's made out to be. There are strict quarterly reviews and applications. Well, I can tell you, man, as soon as, I was in my situation and I'm getting this money now. I don't remember, this was years ago, but you gotta tell them, there's workers that are, I don't even know, are the SNAP people laid off right now too? Peace Panda says, Barb, I want to thank you for addressing this topic. Very important for all of us to think about. And for those of us who can help right now to help others less fortunate. Thank you, Peace Panda. Right. Let's think about who we can help instead of how we can bitch about the system not working. I'm not blasting y'all, 11 people who are in here. I mean, you're not the ones doing it, but there are people out there that do it constantly. And so we don't want to. Oh, the people on TikTok are brutal. Oh, they feel like are they laughing? Are they glad people are losing it? Toxicity, because what's going to happen when they lose something over this? When the economy gets bad enough, it's going to affect us all. When this, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen when SNAP benefits aren't rolling through my store down here. Yeah, Walmart's got tons of money. They could keep it open and do everything, but they're going to be selling less. So they're going to fire employees or lay off employees because they don't have as many people coming through, right? Are they going to raise the prices to make up for that? Or are they going to just what? Thank you, Heather says it's a wonderful live stream to bring awareness to a lot of others who may not know about it. They are glad they are just telling everybody to go work. Oh, get a job, get a damn job. It's not that easy to just go get a damn job. Another thing that we're going to talk about here is homelessness and the lot of misconceptions about that, because nobody wants homeless people around their neighborhood, but there's a lot of misconceptions about that. And my guy, who I've been supporting for years, runs a it's not a shelter, although they are going to be anyway, I don't want to get all into that, but he knows everything there is to know about what happens with homeless people, why they're there, how they can't get out of it. But he's going through, he has CRPS, which is pain, like all in all of his limbs and stuff. And I need to ask him if he's got, like, he could come on an hour with me and we could just pre-record something, because his health is not good and he gets treatments all the time to try to stop the pain. But yeah, Heather, jobs are scarce. You can't just go get a job. If you're not working right now and you need a job, go out there and see if you can just go get a job. And with the federal minimum wage at $7.25, you might get $13 or $15 an hour, but that doesn't go very far either. Just think about, I just worked an hour and I made $15, and then they're going to hold out state, federal, well, not by just that, but when you get your check, they're going to hold out state, federal, and Social Security. And that's going to leave me with, I don't know, 12 of it for an hour. And my lunch just cost $25. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you didn't take your lunch. Thank you, Peace Panda. I like the topics you're covering. I hope going forward more people will find your channel. Thank you guys, because I can do drama and I can get a lot more people, but I'm just grateful that y'all are here, because there for a while I'd go live and I wouldn't have but one person or maybe two, and it's really hard for me to do that. Yeah, there's not going to be job growth. No way. Not with the tariffs. And then this week, Trump is fighting with Canada because can you imagine fighting with Canada? They're good neighbors. Why are we fighting with Canada? Balancing global commitments is important, but it should come at the expense of shouldn't come at the expense of citizens who rely on basic government assistance. Hey, CJK. Those who truly need the benefits should have them, but too many are involved in welfare fraud. Those who can work and should be are lazy. It hurts those with real needs. And hello. Yeah, CJK. I mean, we've been talking about all that. There's always going to be a certain percentage of people who cheat the system, no matter what the system is. And we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We can't penalize and shut down all the highways because somebody sped by going 100 miles an hour. So they broke a rule, but we're not going to shut down our whole system because somebody broke the rule. And I think that it's exaggerated how many people are doing it. And I think if you've ever been in need of these services, you understand better. I'm not saying you have or haven't. I have. Would it be nice to get it now? Yeah, I'd love to have, the extra money. But, oh, really? They're hiring? I haven't seen those around where I live, but it's easier said than done to get a job too. And if you haven't, just because somebody's hiring doesn't mean that a SNAP recipient sitting over here, a woman who's got children who now she can't put in daycare or they're in school or something. So there's a lot that goes into all that. And I don't want to just generalize it. Well, they're hiring, because I could go try to get a job right now, but they'd be like, what have you done in the last, not what I did my whole career since I was 16, but what have you done in the last 3 years or 5 years? Indeed, whether it's welfare fraud, corporate corruption, or insider trading, it's all a big mess, and we're not going to solve it. Let me end again, like I've tried to end. I keep saying I'm going to end, is think about the people who need this. Think about the children. Think about the disabled people who can't work. They can't physically do it. They can't work from home even. They can't function enough to work. Yes, there we go. If we can't care about the most vulnerable among us, then who even are we? So y'all, I hope y'all have a fabulous Sunday. My hogs lost again yesterday. I'm so over them. But I'll watch again next Saturday because that's just the kind of fan I am. So anyway, think about those who do need it, and let's not focus on the people who abuse the system, because they get the loud uproar, and people who are not on these benefits are mad because they don't get them. But God forbid you have to be on that level where you have to get them. That's not fun. I can promise you that. Have a great Sunday, and I will see y'all soon.